I better record it. Let me see. Okay, so welcome to Zion Law School. Let me turn my camera on real quick. I don't know if my lighting is okay. Is my lighting okay? Is my lighting okay? Okay. So welcome to Zion Law School. Today we're going to continue our discussion on the learned elders of Zion. And just to repeat, this is a discussion to investigate the authenticity of this document that I got from the FBI vault. So with that being said, let's begin protocol number one. Oh, also, the first panel discussion that we did is posted on the YouTube channel for those people who want to go back and watch it. So please like this video, share it. Also subscribe to the channel because it helps us with the distribution so that more people can get the information that we put out. So please like, share, and subscribe. So let's get started. Cleveland, do you want to begin with the reading of the first couple paragraphs of the protocol number one? And also, this is like a free flow conversation. So Cleveland, comment, ask questions or whatever as you read. And then also Donna and Ella, you guys do the same. So it'll be a free flow, okay?
Okay.
So let's begin. Unmute your microphone, Cleveland.
Okay. All right. What's about to set forth then is our system from points of view that ourselves and that the Goyim, i.e. non-Jews. It must be noted that men with bad instincts are more in number than the good, and therefore the best results in governing them are attained by violence and terrorization, and not by academic discussion. Rare indeed are the men who would not be willing to sacrifice the welfare of all for the sake of securing their own welfare. Men are but beasts of prey. Political freedom is an ideal, but not a fact. All right. In our day, the power which has replaced that of the rulers in the power of gold. Time was when faith ruled. The idea of freedom is impossible of realization because no one knows how to use it with moderation. When a state exalts itself in its own convulsions through internal discords or external foes, it becomes irretrievably lost and is soon in our power. The despotism of capital, which is entirely in our hands, reaches out to the straw that the state willy-nilly must take hold of it. If not, it goes to the bottom.
Can we stop right there? Does anybody see anything interesting worth discussing in these first few paragraphs?
I was working on sharing the video.
Okay. Notice that their point of view. Notice a point of view in the second paragraph.
Point of view.
Yeah. This fact, according to them, it says it must be noted that men with bad instincts are more in number than the good, and therefore the best results in governing them are attained by violence and terrorism and not by academic discussion. So remember, this was written in what year? 1905, right?
Right.
But these are notes from meetings that they had over time, right?
Yeah,
So what?
have you ever watched the movies? Have you ever watched the movie The Purge?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay. It's a
Okay,
horror
so
story
what
about
population
people
of
that
people
kill
are
each
they
other.
talking about? Yeah, right. What population of people are they talking about? What was the social, political, economic system at that time?
Social political system.
It was
Economics?
Jim Crow in the U.S., right?
I'm
It was
guessing the Jews were
colonization.
the merchants, just like they were back in Germany.
Well, it was colonization, right? It
Okay.
was colonization. They were implementing socialism in the Soviet Union or Russia. Well, in
Yeah.
Russia.
Yeah.
Africa was colonized. All of the Americas were colonized. In other words, all indigenous people globally were colonized. Were these indigenous people considered men? Were they considered property or animals?
By those who are trying to rule over them, they consider them property
Property
or
and
animals.
animals.
Right, so when we see men here, who are they talking about?
They're talking about themselves.
Talking about themselves. These would be people who classify themselves as white Europeans. So now we understand who is being the mentality of who is. Do you follow me, Cleveland?
Yes.
So this is saying it must be noted that men, or who are these men? These
White
would be, right, those people who are classified as white men, right? So this is an acknowledgement that they have bad instincts
Right.
and more in number, okay? So now we know who's being discussed here.
Mhm.
So we do understand what we see from history that what? The indigenous people were already held captive, prisoners of war, right? In their own land. So this doesn't have anything to do with them. They've already been experiencing that, right?
Right.
So this would have to do with those people classified as white who were in the US part of what? The Republic, and then the democratic form of government came about, I think, in the mid-1800s. But that would be them in the US, and then those people classified as white in Europe. So this is the group, this is the subject, okay? Okay, not by academic discussion. So there was no option to discuss any academic stuff or philosophy with people who they had already conquered and had been terrorizing for hundreds of years. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So rare indeed are the men who would not be willing to sacrifice the welfare of all for the sake of securing their own welfare. Okay, so now we've seen this. This has been demonstrated in history. Men are but beasts of prey. Wow. Okay, so what about this next paragraph? I thought this was significant too. Can someone give some commentary on that?
The power plays the rules.
And that day power has replaced that of the rulers is the power of gold. The people with the money, whoever makes the money makes the rules. What is it they say?
Yeah,
Whoever has the
my mom
gold
used
has
to
the
say,
rules, I
yeah,
think, something like
whoever
that.
has the gold makes the rules.
Something like
my
that.
mom used to say it all the time.
Yeah.
So in our day, the power which has replaced that of the rulers. So the ruler's power was replaced by what? Gold, right?
Mhm. Right.
That was when faith ruled. So that would have been when Cleveland.
A time when faith ruled.
Yes. But that would have been prior to the Catholic Church, before the Catholic Church, or when the Catholic Church came to dominance.
Okay, ready to go on camera?
Yeah, it's been prior to the Catholic Church.
Faith. Let's look up faith. Let's look up faith. Faith.
Yeah, you'll.
Can you guys see my screen? Not a good definition.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Can you guys see the definition of faith here?
Hold on. We're getting
Well,
ready
let me
to,
stop the share. Let me come back. Let's look this word up and get
okay.
a dictionary definition. Okay, so let's look at faith and religion. Okay, so let's read.
Religion. Noun, the belief in and worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal God or gods.
Okay, now let's click on again, similar. Okay.
Faith, complete trust or confidence in someone or something.
And then believe. Continue.
Belief, an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. Something one accepts as true or real, a firmly held opinion or conviction.
Okay. So did you have something to say, Donna? Go ahead.
No, the next one was a religious conviction.
That's interesting.
Okay, so yeah, where's that at?
The next one down, right there, under the one I just read. Right above number 2.
Conviction here. Oh, a religious. Okay, so beliefs, right? We're dealing with beliefs, right?
Right.
Mental acceptance of the definition of beliefs is mental acceptance of a claim as likely true. Okay. And then it says faith or trust in the reality. So you see there's a difference between faith and trust. Everybody see that?
Yes.
It says faith or trust in the reality of something, often based upon one's own reasoning, trust in a claim, desire of actuality and or evidence considered, da, 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 da. So let me ask you guys a question.
Okay.
So going back to the document, when we see here, time was when faith ruled. When was that time? Faith.
Time.
Let's look at yeah. What's faith in contrast to trust, right?
Well, I think faith was birthed earlier than trust, I think, as far as etymology is concerned, but I could be wrong, but who really cares? But I don't know, man.
This is a big deal. This is a really
It is a big deal. I don't know. I know it's a big deal. I can't figure it out.
Let's go through this. The difference between faith and trust. When used as nouns, faith means the process of forming or understanding abstractions, ideas, or beliefs. What does this remind us of?
Abstract, Greek.
These are all what? Greek concepts, right?
Right.
Great concept.
Abstracts, ideas, beliefs, without what?
Empirical evidence.
Without empirical evidence. So let's skip real quick. Let's go look up this meaning so we'll have a precise meaning.
Empirical evidence means it doesn't change.
So let's get a
Doesn't mean it's the
precise
same every
meaning.
time.
Say it again, please.
I said, doesn't that mean it's the same every time? That the results are the same every
Go
time?
ahead, read it, please, Ellen.
Okay, you got to flip it down.
Oh, here it's me.
Let's see if we can get a better, a more reputable corporate finance institute. How to collect? Well, let's just go to Merriam's.
Let's go to Miriam. She should know.
Go ahead, read, please. Ellen?
Definition of empirical, originating in or based on observation or experience.
Oh, what does this remind us of? Observation, experience, things that you can experience by your what, Donna?
Oh, yeah, by your 5 senses.
Concrete.
Concrete, yeah.
We are back in concrete and abstract.
Right.
Okay.
That
Yep.
faith is abstract.
Right.
Okay. So do we need to go into trust, or is it clear that trust
It's
is
pretty clear that trust is concrete.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys see that? So,
Yeah.
Cleveland, well, Donna, would you please explain to Cleveland why what we're talking about is significant?
Okay, to the best of my ability, Cleveland, this is when we're looking at the Hebrew language compared to the Greek. The Hebrew is always something that you can experience with your senses, your five senses: hearing, seeing, hearing, seeing, smelling, touching, tasting, right? And then Greek is abstract. Everything, their language, everything they have is in an abstract form. Does that make sense?
So Donna, explain please to Cleveland and other people who will who watch this video, what it means as far as worldview, the Hebraic worldview or the Hebraic paradigm being concrete.
I'm drawing a blank.
First of all, I don't know if you want to jump in. First of all, does anyone remember what a paradigm or worldview is? The way we perceive.
Right.
Paradigm is a comparison to see, it's our view on things.
Right. It's how we perceive. Go ahead, continue, Donna.
I was going to say, I said it's like a model. It's like a model of what we're viewing. It's a model of a technique or a work habit or something that's going on, a scenario.
Okay, so I think we posted a video, right? On the Hebraic paradigm or worldview. So remember to like and share and subscribe to this video. We have a video that discusses this topic right here. This is a critical topic. You want to understand your Hebraic culture and your language. You have to.
I obviously need to go watch again.
So watch that. Paradigm, in short, is how you perceive the world, right? Through your senses. And that's going to dictate your behavior and what you're able to notice consciously and subconsciously. Okay? So that's the way we perceive the world and how we interact with the world. So what this is to say is that our ancestors perceived the world through concrete terms. The Greeks, and we interacted in a concrete way, and we wrote in concrete terms. So this is a really big topic. So for those of you in the audience, go back and watch the video. So let's go back to the document. So why is this significant? Time was when faith ruled. Time was when abstract what? Thought ruled. Okay, so people what? They dealt in abstractions, in ideas, beliefs.
Right.
Beliefs puts us in what? Religion, right?
Yep.
Okay, so when we go back to this, what we would realize is that this time when faith ruled was when the Catholic Church came into power and imposed religion on everybody that they conquered. Okay, the religion requires faith, and you can correlate that with the Spanish Inquisition, right?
Yeah.
All the various forms of Christianity. So prior to that, prior to the Catholics coming to power, who ruled in Europe? The Moors. So you had, it was called Mohammedanism or something like that. But it was a principled way of life, okay? And it was based upon science, okay? It was based upon science. And as you guys may or may not know, I don't know, these sciences were overlapped with religion by the Catholic Church, okay? Why are you guys so silent? What's going on?
We were from the Catholic Church. We know about that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's all happened to us, so I don't know what to say.
Okay, so prior to the beginning of the Catholic Church, the world operated based upon science. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was the Moors who came out of Kemet. Kemet is Egypt. Prior to that, it was Kemet right? They pretty much had a global empire. And of
Yeah.
course, we had our space too, but everything was, the worldview was science and not religion like it is now. So let's go back to the discussion, okay? So it says here, time was when faith ruled. The idea of freedom is impossible of realization because no one knows how to use it with moderation. Isn't this what we see with the few hundred years that the people who classify themselves as white, since they've been in power, it's been nothing but war,
Right.
robbery, and murder. So for the thousands of years that the indigenous people were on Earth, we didn't have this sort of thing. Of course, there were local skirmishes, but to the extent of all of this, it didn't exist in the world. And so you'll hear people like Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, who really explain this topic right here in great detail. So, but now what does it say? Go back to the top. In our day, the power which has replaced that of rulers is what? The power of gold,
Yeah.
right? So these, the kings and the, all of that type of power was replaced by who has the gold. And what eventually, so why is this important? That's my question. Cleveland, Ellen, Donna, why is this important?
Why wouldn't gold be important?
Replaced that of rulers is the power of gold. Why is this important to this document?
Because it set up further, we were talking about how people are going to be enslaved because they're going to be in so much debt. And here we have the rulers who are, instead of replacing, they replaced the powers with gold instead of with rulers. So it's the gold, whoever has the gold rules, blah, blah, blah.
Right,
It's the
and
gold
that's
that
why
makes
they,
people be put in debtors
Ex-
or not.
excellent. Did they take the gold?
Yes.
So seizing the gold was what? Seizure of what? Power.
Yeah, empower, yeah.
Seizure of the gold was seizure of power and concentration of power. Even right now, it's hard to buy physical gold, right? Usually you can get a paper asset more easily than you can get physical gold. All right. Anybody have anything else to say about this before we move on?
Oh,
I will say it's very strange that people don't even know what gold feels like nowadays.
Yeah.
I remember back in the 80s or the 70s when people started buying gold for some reason. Obviously it was the economy. And some guy said on TV, it was some guy saying, wow, it's so heavy. I mean, because we don't know what it feels like because we're not touching the real stuff, which we should be, where,
Yeah.
or silver or something,
Yeah. And now we see why, right?
Yes.
If this document is true, they seize the gold because he who has the gold has the power.
Right.
And what was it, the Rothschilds who said something like he doesn't care who's in power in a country, give him control of the money and he'll control the nation. Roughly paraphrasing, I think that was Rothschild.
For some reason, I think it's Winston Churchill, but I'm probably wrong. Maybe it's the Vanderbilts. Who knows? It's somebody who wanted money, but they're all evil.
Yeah, someone said it, right?
I know. Yeah, someone evil said it.
Cleveland, do you want to continue reading? Or do you want to pass? Up to you.
I'll pass.
Okay. Who are you going to pass to? Pick someone to pass to, please.
I guess you're passing it to me because I'm the only one here. Unless you want to, doctor.
No, go ahead, Alan. Go ahead.
All right. When a state exhausts itself in its own convulsions through internal discords or external foes, it becomes irrevocably lost. Did we read this one? Okay, irrevocably lost, and is soon in our power. The despotism of capital, which is entirely in our hands reaches out to it a straw that the state willy-nilly must take hold of. If not, it goes to the bottom.
Let's discuss this paragraph. So what's the, I guess the theme? What's this paragraph about? When a state exhausts itself in its own convulsions through internal discord or external foes, it becomes, what does that say? Irretrievably lost.
Oh, I said irrevocably. I'm sorry.
As,
Irretrievably lost.
okay, and is soon in our power. What does that mean?
Means the one that's lost to the debt or lost to their foes, however it is their foes come at them, whether it's financially or religiously or through economic, whatever, socialism, like races or whatever.
Right. So what's the condition of the state? It says when a state,
They're lost. They're irretrievably lost.
What, look at the cursor.
Oh, exhaust itself. It's exhausted.
So what does that mean?
That means it's exhausted, like me.
Yeah.
No, it's exhausted. It's
Used all his resources.
yes.
Let's get a specific, a precise meaning. Prima, you want to read that, please?
Drain someone of their physical or mental resources to tire out.
Okay, so there we go.
They were
When a
drained.
state exhausts itself, it's physically, mentally, that means that people, you take the people through hell, basically, right?
Right, they're drained. They're beyond anything. They cannot contain themselves anymore. They have nothing else to lose. They're done. They're
Like
wasted. They're spent.
Like a terrible relationship,
Like,
right? Like you got a woman or a man, they're just the worst person in the world and they completely exhaust you, destroy everything you ever built.
yeah,
That's what we're talking about here.
that's it. Boom.
And what does it say? In its own convulsions.
Yeah.
That's the extreme, right? You're so
Yeah.
exhausted, you're having convulsions. Okay?
Yeah.
Through its own what? Internal. So this woman or this guy has got problems in your financial life and your emotional life, right? Made you have problems with your family, ran all your friends and family away. I mean, totally destroyed you personally, your personal life and relationships, and you internally, your self-esteem, your self-image, they destroyed it, right?
Yep.
Make you start doubting yourself, right?
Yep.
Make you doubt your religion or whatever. Internal discord or external foes, right? So now this person puts you into a weakened position. And now those people who may have been waiting or wanting to take advantage or take something from you start to come up against you.
Yep.
Here's your foes.
Yeah.
Right, so they're saying just like a person in a bad relationship can experience this. And some people are unfortunate enough to have a mate who will intentionally do this to them. Right? I mean, we can all relate to this.
That's
Right.
messed up.
Yeah, they have a mate who intentionally does that to them, right? So it becomes irretrievably lost. In other words, there's no recovery, right?
Yeah.
This is a 5-10 year recovery path that it might take a person to get back where they were before they met that person,
Mm-hmm.
right? To get back emotionally, materially, everything else, right?
Yeah.
And it's soon, soon in our power. So if they can put that person in that type of exhausted state,
Yeah.
this is their strategy to take control over them. Just like you might get some wicked mate who wants, get with you for what they can get out of you materially. And the whole point that they have is to take you down and then take everything you got, control you.
Yeah.
So it's the same type of thing at the nation of at the level of a nation as it is on a personal level.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's continue. And you guys also comment, because these are topics that we're all familiar with. And somebody out in the audience who are listening to this, Alan, Donna, Cleveland, your point of view, your experience with these kind of things, they can relate to better than they can me. And you guys have experiences that might be more rich than mine, or you might explain something better than I explain. Okay, you might have the ability to communicate or reach somebody that I don't. So let's, if you guys don't mind, let's jump in the conversation, okay? No right and wrong answers. Okay, so let's continue with the deposition.
Okay. The political has nothing in common with the moral. The ruler who is governed by the moral is not a skilled politician and is, therefore, unstable on his throne. He who wishes to rule must have recourse both to cunning and to make believe. Great national qualities like frankness and honesty are vices in politics, for they bring down rulers from their thrones more effectively and certainly than the most powerful enemy. Such qualities must be the attributes of our kingdoms of the Goyim. But we must in no wise be guided by them. Our rights lie in force and might.
Wow.
Mm.
So I need to read through this to fully digest what was said. You guys have anything to say about this?
Mm.
The political has nothing in common with the moral. Okay, so let's go and look up moral. This is always a good discussion about morality. This is a big issue too. Moral, concerned with principles of right and wrong behavior and goodness or badness of human character. This is very interesting, isn't it? This is saying politics has nothing to do with right and wrong.
Oh, yes, yeah, sure, why not?
Did you have something to say, Dan?
I'm sorry, I was just asking about about somewhere else I could share this.
Oh, okay. So, okay, thank you. So politics, what they're saying is politics has nothing to do with right and wrong.
Right.
Now, how many, Cleveland, how many quote unquote Black people are approaching the world from this point of view? Most of us talk about right and wrong, don't we?
Yes.
My mother used to say, "Mama for right." I don't care who you are, mama for right.
Mama for right?
Yeah, it means it's the highest level of it's the most honorable way of dealing with people.
Oh.
Doesn't matter if you're male, female, Black, white, Asian.
So she'd say that to you if you were mouthing with her, if you were lipping with her?
Anything.
Oh, she'd just say, Mama for right. She's
Am
scolding
I
you?
right?
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
good. Thank you. All right.
Mama for right. So it doesn't matter. I think the people who classify themselves as white, the equivalent statement would be, what's the phrase? You're not a recognizer of persons or something like that.
Oh yeah, that one. That's from the New Testament, actually.
Okay, well, that's what it means.
It's not a respecter of persons.
You're not a respecter of persons. That's what it means.
Yeah. Okay. I see. So mom's like, treat your mother right.
Yeah.
I got you.
You have experience with that, Cleveland, in your family, your mom, or?
Yeah, my mother would give me the back of her hand to taste, and then I would behave.
Yeah, it's like hanging the switch when Daddy hung the switch.
There you go.
That means no more. It's over with.
That's the way it was, man. My mom said it, and we did it. And if you didn't, then she'd hand you her teeth. She'd hand you your teeth. So, but anyway, I'm
I,
up now.
I think this is significant because this shows how the way that, like, for example, our people have been at the bottom because we look at things and evaluate things from a moral point of view, whereas the politicians or the political systems are looking at it from a power point of view, right? A power point of view.
Yeah.
So the ruler who is governed by the moral is what is not a skilled politician and is therefore unstable on his throne.
Right.
So you cannot rule if you're going by what's right and what's wrong, according to them. He who wishes to rule must have recourse both to cunning and to make believe. So now let's look up recourse. Recourse. Cleveland, please.
Recourse, now a source of help in a difficult situation. Recourse, a source of help in a difficult situation. The use of someone or something as a source of help in a difficult situation. The legal right to demand compensation or payment. Recourse, the legal right to demand compensation or payment.
Okay, so what is this telling us, everybody? He who wishes to rule must have recourse both to cunning and to make believe. Great national qualities like frankness and honesty are vices in politics. So let's look up vice so we get a precise meaning. Oh.
Immoral or wicked behavior.
Continue.
Criminal activities involving prostitution, pornography, or drugs.
We do see that, don't we?
And immoral or wicked personal characteristics.
So let's go back to the document. Let's start again. He who wishes to rule must have recourse both to cunning and make believe. Great national qualities like frankness and honesty are what? Vices.
Vices in politics.
They're immoral and wicked behavior in politics.
Vices, like a stronghold.
Right. So they're talking about deceiving people.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, because they say in the first line, the politics have nothing in common with moral. With the moral.
Right.
So, I mean,
And they bring down rulers. So through deceit, they're bringing down rulers through what? Immoral, wicked behavior, criminal activities, prostitution, pornography, drugs, immoral and wicked personal characteristics. This is how they're bringing down rulers, right?
Right.
In other words, they get you attached to a scandal,
Right.
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So these politicians will use honesty and frankness to deceive, manipulate, and get people in scandals and expose them to destroy them, right? That's what Machiavellian, is that the word?
Machiavellian.
Type of behavior.
Machiavellian.
Okay, for they bring down rulers from their thrones more effectively and certainly than the most powerful enemy, these scandals. Such qualities must be attributes of the kingdoms of the Goyim, but we must by no wise be guided by them. Our right lies in the force and might. Y'all see that?
Yeah.
Cleveland, what do you get from that? Our might lies in force and might, as opposed to what? Right and wrong. Why are you guys silent?
I thought you said Cleveland, but were you asking me too? Okay, all right, I'll take it.
Cleveland didn't say anything, so jump in.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. The fight lies in our right lies in force and might means they're gonna beat the hell out of them. Means they're gonna make them submit. These are going
right.
to do everything within their physical and financial and economic and sociological and whatever astronomical force that they can summon, and they're going to push and push and push until they grind the nose into the dirt. That's it. They're going to do it. They're going to
That's
get what they want to. It doesn't matter. Nothing's going to hold them back.
That's right. They're going to use all their systems, all their institutional systems
Mm-hmm.
to force what they want. And also, interesting what you said is did you say astrology?
Yes.
Yes, they use astrology.
Yes, I know they do.
They use astrology. So so they also use what? They also use natural laws against us.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Weather, everything.
Well, those are the physical natural laws. I'm talking about the natural laws that govern consciousness. They use these against us, and our people don't know these. So prior to the Catholic Church coming to power, there were natural laws that govern consciousness that everybody knew.
And
Right? So
right.
the people had a vast knowledge of physical, natural laws like gravity, electricity, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But they also had a vast knowledge of consciousness natural laws, the natural laws that govern consciousness. This is what they use against us. Natural law. So we see natural law expressed in I think it's a Declaration of Independence, where it talks about, well, also in the first, usually in the Article 1, I think, or in the preamble, or Article 1 of the federal Constitution, I think state, I don't remember for sure, but it talks about the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of property, which they changed to happiness. So those are natural laws.
Right.
Okay, but we'll discuss that further in other classes about the natural law stuff. But Donna, remember when we did the natural law?
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, Ellen, that was a powerful observation that you made. They use astrology against us and natural law.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so let's continue with the reading. Are you going to continue reading, Ellen?
Okay, sure. Our powers in the present, is that loitering or tottering?
Tottering.
Tottering? Yeah, I think so. Our power in the present tottering condition of all forms of power will be more invincible than any other, because it will remain invincible until the moment when it has, invisible. Invisible. Until that changes the whole thing. Until the moment when it has gained such strength that no cunning can any longer undermine it. Out of the temporary evil we are now compelled to commit will emerge the good of an unshakable rule, which will restore the regular course of the machinery of the national life, brought to naught by liberalism. The result justifies the means. Highly faulting. There we go. Highly polluting hooey indeed. Let us, however, in our plans, direct our attention not so much to what is good and moral as to what is necessary and useful.
Okay, so let's unpack that paragraph. What is that saying to us?
Will remain invisible until the
What will
moment
remain invisible?
their force, their presence,
Their power. Their
power. Okay, all forms of power.
Let's look up. Let's get a precise working definition of power.
So it's like they throwing rocks and hiding their hands, as they say here in the street.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
The ability to do something or act in a particular way, especially as a faculty or quality. The capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the course of events. Okay. Supply a device with mechanical or electrical energy. This could be any type of energy, right? So what is energy? Energy is attention. Also money, well, not money, but currency. What they call money, fiat money, is currency, it's energy.
Yeah.
You guys see it?
Yeah.
They control the supply of fiat money through their central banking system. Okay, they control labor.
I remember you said what fiat was yesterday. What did you, do you remember what it was?
Fiat is like fake money.
Fake money.
Fake money. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Not backed by gold. It's just paper.
Okay.
Yes. So you guys see what's happening here? They control attention through media. They run advertising, TV shows to put thoughts and ideas in your mind, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so they control, and of course, what people see over and over, they control what your thoughts are. And through controlling what your thoughts are, they can control what your perceptions are. They can also control your behavior.
Yeah.
Right? They control your labor because most people are out here looking for a job.
Yeah.
But they control, these are all energies, different forms of energies, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they're talking about as far as power. Now, do you see why they're saying that the Goyim are like animals?
Yeah. Because they're their labor force.
Because they control their physical behavior and they also control their thoughts and perceptions.
Right.
Y'all see that?
Yeah.
So our power, that's what they're talking about, will be more invincible than any other. Why? So we see because that's why. Because it will remain invincible until the moment when it has gained such strength that no
Invisible.
cunning, right. So in other words, it's going to be invisible until it reaches the point where nobody can do anything about it. And then it's going to be like, here I am. Like we say, here I is. Here I am.
There it is.
So out of the temporary evil, we are now compelled to commit. We will emerge the good of an unshakable rule, which will restore the regular course of the machinery of the national life brought to naught by what? Liberalism. And you notice that the victims, this is called Black people, the victims are usually liberal, right? Democratic Party liberals.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, Democratic Party liberals.
Yeah, a lot of them are. A lot of Black people.
So you see the mind game. You see the mind game, right?
Yeah.
They have such control over Black people's, let's say indigenous people. They have such control over their perception and physical bodies that they actually have these people participating with them in their own demise without realizing it. And how did they do it? How did they do it?
Deception.
Well, deception through what? Through religion and immorality. And immorality.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? In other words, most indigenous people are overly concerned with their emotions, feelings, sex, and things like that. So why is that? Because of the pressure that the governmental systems and policies put on them.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they put the people in a high stress situation where the only relief you can get is through something that makes you feel better. Cleveland, you have any thoughts on that? I'm not saying I'm right, You have any thoughts, Cleveland, being that you and I are from the same community?
As we're going through this, I'm thinking about our leaders, the Al Sharptons of the world, the Jesse Jacksons of the world, the preachers in the neighborhood, how they, like I'm always in, talking with the locals about doing more for the community through math and science and reading versus coming in, paying tithes, just listening to the music, get that feel good feeling they give you in church, but not giving us something concrete, something we can use in the world versus this faith-based religion that we have, So,
Right.
I see it every day, all day, So, it's just, sometimes it's overwhelming just to, just see all the wrong. But then seeing it as writing that was done in the early 1900s and it's still going on today because they have been working behind the scenes, and they got the Democrats on board and, it's just a big mess, man.
Yeah. So we see this in like the homosexuality in churches.
Yeah.
The fornication and all of that inside the churches. You can look at, who does who gives great insight on this topic? Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Y'all heard of her ISIS papers?
Can you repeat?
Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, or Welsing. She's the author of the ISIS papers.
Oh.
Yeah. Something she said to me that was so profound, I never forgot it. She said that if Black folks want to scare the hell out of white people, you know what they should do?
What?
Clean their communities.
Wow.
Clean the streets. And she said that that would scare the hell out of white people.
All right.
Because when you clean the streets, that means you're cleaning your mind.
Right. Wow.
You no longer accept or want to live in filth.
That's cool, man.
That's
Wow.
and that's true. Shalom, Reggie.
Shalom. Sorry, I've been listening. I just got back trying to cook, so.
Well, it's good to have you here. So please comment liberally. Well, not liberally, but comment freely. Right?
Yes, sir.
It's profound. So the way they've done this is to weaken us, right? To weaken us by getting us involved in alcohol. So please comment liberally. Well, not liberally. Comment freely. Hey, turn your microphone off on your web browser.
Mute your computer, Reggie.
Yeah, I was trying to fix it. Come on, slow it down.
Weaken us by getting us involved in alcohol.
Instant replay.
Reggie, turn your there's a like a little speaker or something in the web browser, turn that one off.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you do that, you can unmute because otherwise it's giving us feedback. So this is what I observed in our community. The lack, let me rephrase that. It's the lack of self-control and self-discipline. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
By putting so much pressure on indigenous people that they begin to look to substances and entertainment for relief of stress.
Mhm.
Right? Why do they do that? Because no opportunity, or at least in their mind, they see no opportunity, right? Why? Because they control our perception. So what's the easy way out? Stop watching TV. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Stop listening to all music, because who controls the music?
Yep.
The same people,
People
right?
behind the scenes, yeah.
That this is speaking of.
Yeah, turn off the TV, turn off the music,
Yeah.
and then of course start teaching your children at home, even if you don't feel qualified. Take them out of the public school system.
Yeah.
So basically, we just stop doing those things that they put in place that led us to the sad state that we're in right now. Okay, so let's continue. Is this paragraph clear? Anybody have anything else they want to say about this paragraph?
No, I know that, you know, the other thing I think they do is they use like the pharmaceuticals in the medical industry.
Right, and they're giving it to children, right?
Yeah,
wow.
And what do they say? That's a very good comment. What does it say here? The result justifies the means.
yeah,
Right? The result justifies the means. They don't give a damn about our children.
right,
Even now, you guys children, right?
right.
You are classified as white. You guys are getting the business now.
Yep.
Right? So, and why is that? Because they feel like they're strong enough.
Yeah, they feel like they're at that point where they can start revealing themselves.
Let us, however, in our plans direct our attention not so much to what is good and moral, like giving drugs that are one molecule away from crack cocaine to children,
Right,
right? Or just outright stealing people's property, taking their children, so on and so forth, as to what is necessary and useful. This means by any means necessary. Seize power by any means necessary. There is no right and wrong.
no,
Okay, so Reggie, did you fix your mic?
Yes, it is fixed, and I'm all set.
So if you guys want to continue to read, when you get done, Reggie can read if he would like to. So do you guys, Donna or Ellen, do you guys want to continue reading?
Okay, I didn't get to read that one up top. You read that one just now? Necessary and useful?
yeah, he read
that?
he read it.
Okay. All right. Before us is a plan in which is laid down the line from which we cannot deviate without running the risk of seeing the labor force of many centuries brought to naught.
Wow.
I seem like what's going on right now.
Mhm. So they've been plotting this for hundreds of years, right?
Since forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only plotting, but what? It says labor. They've been doing physical work. This is work. So this is concentrated thought, purpose, and work to achieve a goal. Right?
Yep.
Okay, and what do we learn from this? We learn the power of working together as a group instead of as individuals. So in other words, the power, let's say the power of group economics,
Yeah.
the power of group politics, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Group politics, definitely.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, so let's move to the next paragraph.
It must be understood that the might of a mob is a blind, senseless, and unreasoning force, ever at the mercy of a suggestion from any side. The blind cannot lead the blind. An upstart from the people cannot lead without bringing the whole nation to ruin. Only one trained from childhood for independent rule can have understanding of the words that can be made up of the political alphabet. Yeah.
Can we discuss what this means?
Yeah, please do, because I'm
No, I've lost the
confused.
political alphabet. I don't know what that means, a political alphabet.
So let me go. It must be understood that the might of a mob. So let's get the precise. This is a process we'll always use, okay? We get precise meanings. A large crowd of people, especially one that is disorderly and intent on causing trouble or violence, crowd around someone in an unruly and excitable way in order to admire or attack them. Wow. All right, so let's go back. Oh, where are we? Okay. The might of a mob is a blind, senseless, and unreasoning force. Okay, so that means chaos. The mob gets its might from chaos, right?
Yeah.
Ever at the mercy of a suggestion from any side.
Yep.
The blind cannot lead the blind, and upstarts from the people cannot lead without bringing the whole nation to ruin. Okay, so this means that the little groups that formed
Yeah.
out of that chaos or in response to chaos cannot lead the nation without bringing it to ruin.
Okay.
Okay, and only one trained from childhood for independent rule. Okay, so this is saying that a person has to be groomed to rule.
Right. Like, did you ever see that movie South Pacific, where they're saying you got to be carefully taught how to hate?
I didn't see it.
Oh, there's a song in it. Anyway,
But it sounds like the essence of what this is saying.
right. The essence of what that's saying is you've got to be trained very carefully. We've got to make sure that you know all of what you have to do evil for us, to do the political, because the political alphabet, I think, is what they're talking about, is it's a, what did they say? It's a vice. It's a vice to have to be kind, to have morals.
He's looking it up. Political alphabet.
Oh, there's a thing. Look at that. Okay, political alphabet.
Political alphabet. Oh, well, y'all want to read through this? Well, let's first before we do that, let's make sure we, Ananias, Buddha, democracy, expansion, freedom, stands for goal and gap. Okay, so zeal, statesman. Oh, wow. Statesman service.
Statesman of the devil.
Wow, I didn't know this was a thing.
I'm curious what this. Huh. Okay, so let's go through it. Can we get a reader, please?
Reggie,
I don't mind reading.
your mic, I can't hardly hear you though, Reggie.
We can barely hear you. Can you increase the, can you turn up the volume on your mic, Reggie?
Yeah, stop this Bluetooth. I think that's what's doing it. 1 second. My phone, turn it on the machine. Let's just.
So you guys comment and let's discuss this as we go.
Is this better?
Much better.
Yes,
Okay.
Phil.
Sounds good.
All right. A stands for Ananias, the politician's patron saint.
What?
B is for, can you blow it up? Booty.
Let's look at who Ananias is.
Yes, please.
The patron
I
saint.
remember Ananias and Sapphira from the New Testament, the New Testament.
That's all I can think of too, Ananias, but.
So let's see. Let's look
Look it up. Politician's patron saint. Yeah, let's look it up.
Who's the politician's patron saint? All these things mean something totally different than what I thought it would have meant if I had just read this article by myself,
Mhm.
without researching it.
Ooh, plotting against Sir Thomas More. So his last name was More. Whoever that is, he must be. Okay, so
Aren't we looking for Ananias?
patron saint of politicians.
Oh,
Okay, who's the patron saint of politicians? You.
Are we in the right place? The American Catholic politics and culture. Y'all help me out, okay? You're a constant regret to me, Thomas. If you could see the facts flat on without the horrible moral squint, with a little more common sense, you could have made a statement. Let's watch this video. Can you guys hear it? Can you guys hear it?
No, I can't. Not really.
Not really.
Um,
Be right back.
so St. Thomas More.
I just read something that said Saint Ananias was actually one of the,
Can you share it? Can you share your screen and take us through
well,
it?
it's on my phone though.
Okay.
I could send myself, I can send the link.
No, that's okay. We'll find something else.
It was the 3 kids in the fiery furnace.
Patrons of the politicians. Patrons say, oh, NPR. What is this?
Copy.
We're looking for Ananias, right? We're looking for Ananias, not this guy.
That is clear.
Patron saint of politicians archive. Let's check that. St. Thomas. Okay, so I guess it's St. Thomas. I don't know why I said Ananias, but
Okay, well, here's a,
let's see. Though he lived in the 1500s, the life and struggle of St. Thomas is one we can relate to today. He fought for the sanctity of marriage and would not be a blah, 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 blah. I don't buy that at all. No, I don't. Hold on. I'll try one more time, okay? Otherwise, we have to do this.
I put a link in the thing just about that Ananias in the chat, of the Ananias I found.
Okay. What is it? The politicians what? Patron saint.
Saint, yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is the one you found, Donna?
Uh,
Ananias of Damascus.
no. Yeah, it's in the chat. The link is.
Okay.
I can look back on my phone to see what it was. Saint Ananias, Saint Azarius, and Saint Mizzle.
You know what I find interesting? That we're talking about Judaism, right? Or Zionism, rather. But this is referring to the Catholic Church, the Pope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think they're both related, but
Yeah, let's go back. We can
Yeah.
come to that later. We come back. to
Okay.
that.
Well, I think they're definitely related. I mean, it's like the yarmulke. The Jews wear. It's like the Pope wears that too on his head. He wears that little round bead too.
Yeah, from what I understand is that yarmulke that the Jewish people wear is a sign of submission to the Catholic Church.
What?
I'd agree with it. Yeah.
Yes, that's his
do
origin.
you know what they call those little beads that they pray on at the Muslims?
No, what's that?
They call them rosaries.
Really? Just like the Catholics?
Same as the Catholics.
Did you know that the Catholics made up the Muslim religion?
Yeah, it's an overlay over the Muslim way of life of the Mohammedan. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
The-
according to
was a white slave trader.
They're all related. They're all the same big pile of poo.
the Catholics made all of these religions. They overlay it over science,
Yes.
the sciences of the people, right?
Yeah.
And they give these sciences, they give them attributes of a god.
Hmm.
Wow.
But in those original cultures, it was science, and then they tell us that it's, devils and demons. And okay, so let's continue. So that the political alphabet is A. The politicians, patriots say Ananias. You want to continue, Reggie, please?
Sure. B is for boodle, which doth all legislation taint. Oh boy. C stands for Congress, DC, where all kinds of laws are invented. D stands for democracy, whose dupes are somewhat demented. E stands for expansion, which stands for piracy and plunder. F stands for freedom, a word mostly used for political thunder. Does it ever? G stands for gall and gab, the politician's greatest essentials. H is a sulfurous place. Hell, where lawyers need no credentials.
Wow.
I is the personal pronoun that the candidate uses most. J is for a four-legged rascal, prototype of a political host. K stands for Kansas State, where Mrs. Nation smashes things. L's for lion, a habit, never discouraged by political rings. M stands for militia and muskets, the props that uphold every state. N stands for the national spirit that divides all humanity with hate. O stands for oligarchy that rules with a scepter of gold. P stands for people whose rights by political shysters are sowed. Q stands for political quacks who would cure every ill with a law. R stands for Republican rule that's supreme from Maine to the car. S stands for stupidity, the same that fills so completely the dear people's heads. T stands for Teddy, the onlyest Ted, who would so strenuously stamp out all the Reds. U is for the Union, a venerated fake. V is for violence, that's government's make. W is for Washington, where the lawmakers revel. Z is for the zeal, that statement served the devil.
Wow. So what stands out, Reggie?
The United States. Trump. Trump ended it. Well, I don't care for either party now. The political mess that we have now in this country, that's what it is. I think.
You all notice this? Statesmen serve the devil.
Statesmen serve the devil, yeah.
So what would that mean? That means you should never trust anything they say or do because you know that they're deceitful. 99, whatever it is that they're pushing is to your disadvantage and to harm you, no matter how good it seems. But notice this, it says this, it says the something ruled the scepter of gold. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, scepter of gold.
Where is that at?
Right. Oh. Right there. Wait. Right there. Oh.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, here.
oligarchy. Yeah.
So these would be your tech and oil, right? Big tech and energy now. Ruled by what? The scepter of gold, money. You all see that? How it applies right now in our day?
And,
What about Q?
okay. All right, I was gonna say, there's the pharmacy that we were talking about. I was thinking about, oh, actually,
Q stands for political corpus, who would cure every ill with the law. It's impossible.
vaccinations.
Right, it's impossible to cure every ill with the law.
Yeah,
But you have to be what? A quack to believe that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So everybody's looking for government to cure, but you'd have to be, what's a quack? Let's look that up. See what they're telling us. Let's say a doctor who's referred to as a quack.
Quack is a sense of a medical imposter, is a shortening of the Old Dutch quacksalver, spelled quacksalver in the modern Dutch, which originally meant a person who cures with home remedies, and then came to mean one using false cures or knowledge.
Okay. So
Interesting.
basically this quack is what? Basically, okay, well, here it is, a fraudulent healer or incompetent professional.
Yeah.
So in other words, you'd have to be a fool to think that this is possible.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is what they will push, right?
Yeah.
They'll push legislation as a cure for everything. What about this one? I got a question for you, Reggie. How does this national spirit apply to the House of Yasharal? Notice it.
I think right now we're trying to have a national spirit of our own, but it's still tough with many people trying to come to the truth. Many people still, you seem like you have all these different camps either trying to position themselves for power or for who's right. Many still turning into just another version of the church by always referring to listen to them instead of actually, you should do both. I mean, I listen, but you want to be able to take time to read that book for yourself and still make up your own mind and let the spirit lead you where the spirit can lead you, whereas as opposed to being led by anybody else. But still, the other issue is that because of the hundreds of years of miseducation to where we truly don't know how to read, we don't understand how to read things with a more critical eye. We don't know how to read things with a concrete perspective. That's the real issue.
Yeah.
So it still makes it very difficult for us. So,
I have a question I want to ask you, Reggie.
okay.
Is the House of Yasharala scattered to only one part of the globe, or are we scattered all over the globe?
We should have, well, for the book, we're scattered all over to the four corners of the earth.
So would that mean that we're coming from all of the nationalities on earth?
It's possible that we could be blended in and mixed in with all the nationalities. I mean, you can find oppressed melanated peoples all over the earth.
Right. So that being the case,
but since there have always been melanated peoples on the planet, so not all your kinfolk is skinfolk, not all skinfolk is kinfolk, you still have to figure out how many are really waking up to the, waking up to this word, waking up to know that something's wrong, something's off, that there's something wrong with the churchianity, and actually motivated to try to get out of that. And
I agree with you. I agree with you. You're correct. But in terms of geography,
well,
well, it says we're scattered all over the earth, right?
Four corners, right? To the four corners.
to the four
It says
corners.
we're scattered all over the earth, and all areas of the earth, well, the countries, the nation states, are all over the earth. So if we're scattered all over the earth, then that means we are what? We were born within the jurisdiction of one or another of those nation states. You guys agree, yes or no?
Yes.
In other words, all the people on earth today, wherever you're born, for example, if you're born in Russia, your nationality is going to be Russian, right?
Right.
Correct.
If you're born in the Caribbean, whatever island you're born, right, you'll be Barbadian or whatever.
Right.
If
Right.
you're born in Uganda, you'll be Ugandan.
Born in
This is what this is saying, nationality. But what does it say about nationality? National spirit, okay?
divides all humanity with hate.
Right, so what is this, what's the effect or how will this manifest itself with the house of Yasharallah as we begin to wake up and make a decision to return or not?
Well, for
Is
the
it
most
still
part,
gonna be there?
now, most of Yasharallah, most of us don't even know who we are. So it's even hard to get to that. Most of us are still calling ourselves African America.
Yes.
Continents instead of actual countries. And that's the reason why we're black. In other words, I know a lot of Africans and Indians who are darker than both you and I together, and they're not going to call themselves black. In fact, I know some who get in this country and their driver's license says white. It doesn't say black.
Yep.
So black, what we are here is, we're black because we're really like political, we're prisoners of war, really.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct. The point I would like for you guys to see is that Yasharallah will experience these same feelings of nationality. We're returning with a sense of nationality. Like, for example, a person who might be from Congo, they're going to have nationalistic attachments to Congo. The Kenyans will have nationalistic attachments to Kenya, right? Those of us who are from European countries will have a nationalistic attachment to whatever European country they're from, so on and so forth. So when we begin to return, there's going to be what? Conflict. But the solution is to forget about those nationalistic ties and start to think of ourselves as being the house of Yasharallah. In other words, you're not Ugandan, right? You're from the house of Yasharallah. You're not Nigerian.
Yasharallah.
You're Yasharallah.
And what we're going back to is, if you believe it literally, we're going back to a kingdom.
Yes, well, we're going back to who we are.
Yeah.
This would be what? Honoring our mothers and our fathers. Is that right?
Yeah.
Honoring our mothers and our fathers. Now, is that a commandment? Is that one of the laws?
It is one of the laws, and that's one of the
our
reasons.
instructions. Honor your mother and your father.
Right.
So for us to say that we're, let's say, Ugandan, or we're black, this is a dishonor to our mothers and fathers. I hope everybody sees that.
Yeah, I see it.
Where's Cleveland?
I don't know.
Hey, I'm here, guys. I'm helping the wife with something, but I'll be right back to the screen here in a second.
Okay.
But look, I do want to ask, what is
you want to say about
Yasharallah?
that, or you want to move on?
He wanted to, Cleveland was asking a question.
I
What's
do
your
want to
question?
ask, yeah, so I'm new to the group. What exactly is Yasharala, if I'm saying that right?
Oh, Yasharala is the bloodline of people that the Most High made a contract with to follow his instructions. So people call it the Ten Commandments or the Law Covenant. Is that
Okay.
clear?
Okay.
In English, they say Israel or Israelites. So this would be the ancient nation composed of 12 tribes, the 12 tribes of Israel.
Okay.
Okay, so this is Hebraically is Yasharala, the house of Yasharala. So nations, Cleveland, are a bloodline of people that are attached to a landmass. That's what a nation is, okay? A bloodline of people attached to a landmass.
Okay.
So when we say the house of Yasharala, we're talking about those people who are the ascendants, not descend, ascend, okay? We ascend. In other words, our ancestors were those people who were in contract with the Most High, or covenant contract. A covenant, in short, is a contract that that was sealed in blood, and whoever breaks that contract, well, you learn this stuff in class. In short,
Okay,
it's
got you. All right.
Yeah.
but is it clear to you?
Okay, I get. I just wanted to be sure. Um, I told you guys I was in the Middle East in 2016, 2017,
Yeah.
and I was working with some contractors. And one day I mentioned the word Israel, and I got this stern look, and they told me I couldn't say that. And I'm saying, well, why I can't say Israel? It was something to do about, the nation of Israel taking the land of the Palestinians, like, but I got a real stern look when I would say Israel around those guys, because they was like, you can't say that. It's like a cuss word to us, because Israel has done so much wrong to our people.
Right. Well, that Israel is not us. Those are. Remember, we had that discussion about Judaism.
Right? Yeah.
So those people are not bloodline ascendants of the house of Yasharala. Those people are people who are involved in a religion called Judaism, and they pretty much stole our identity. This is what we're reading in this document. Remember, yesterday.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So they stole our identity, made a religion, a global religion, but we are the authentic bloodline ascendants, right, of the
Okay.
house of Yasharala.
All
So
right.
those people in the Middle East are angry because the Israeli government, along with actually the world, right, the
Well,
US,
yeah.
they stole those people's land and gave it to those people who practice Judaism, and they call it a nation called the Israeli, the state of Israel or something like that. But anyway, that's what that's about.
Okay,
That
gotcha. Okay.
doesn't have anything to do with us.
All right, I got you. All right.
Okay,
All
right.
right, thank you.
Judaism is a religion, and they have a state that they call Israel or the Israeli government, but it's a religion. Okay.
Okay.
And they're saying that they're us. It's a form of identity theft. So is that clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, I'll be back shortly. Give me
Okay,
3
Reggie,
minutes.
did you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, you were about to tie about the covenant into the land, and the thing about the land is one half of the earth was given to Shem, the Shemites,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so the best parts, both warm and cold,
Mm-hmm.
and as history is slowly revealing, you had melanated people going all through Europe, especially prior to 1600. In fact, running all of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
but we broke the covenant. Part of the covenant kind of deals with the land, about being swept off the land.
Yes. Oh, remind me, everyone, remind me, if we have time Saturday, next class. Oh, by the way, like and subscribe to the video. No, like and share the video, because if
Right,
you
and subscribe.
more people, the video will be distributed to more people, so it'll help get this information to more people. Also subscribe to the channel. And if you want to observe 4 classes, 4 of the free Deuteronomy classes, you can sit down and observe the Deuteronomy chapter 28 course. But remind me Saturday, somebody, to show you guys the location of the promised land.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, using scripture, not history. We don't have to rely on history. We don't have to rely on DNA or who's practicing what customs. Okay, because all of that really has no relevance to the discussion, because those things can be what? Faked and forged, right?
Right.
So I heard Dr. I think it was Dr. Williams. Dr. Williams talked about how, I think it was Karl Marx, went into certain parts of Africa telling people that they were Jewish.
Really? Uh-huh.
Yes, and so that's why, that would explain why certain groups of people practice Judaism,
Mm. Oh,
right? Or it could be a possible explanation as to why they're practicing certain customs that come out of the Torah.
Are you referring to the Lemba?
Huh?
Are you referring to the Lemba?
Nobody in particular. I'm just referring to the fact that Karl Marx, or I think it was Karl Marx, one of those guys went into Africa telling people that they were Jewish, when they in fact weren't. So Dr. Williams discusses this. It was Dr. Williams. You know, he wrote that book, The Historical Origins of Christianity and the Historical Origins of Judaism, or something like that. He has videos on YouTube too, but you can buy his books. That being the case, you cannot rely on that information. But the strongest information you can get as to the location of the promised land is, of course, the scriptures, the Hebrew scriptures. So I'm going to show you guys in the contract. Donna, we went through this, remember?
yes.
I'm going to show you guys in what they call Torah. I'm going to show you in the contract the location of the promised land. Okay, and then I'm going to prove it to you with science.
Okay.
So if we have time, Saturday, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, because you were supposed to do it last Saturday.
Yeah, I'm going to do it again, and it's very clear. It's very concrete, and there's no crazy stuff, and you don't have to believe anything, right? It's right there on the paper.
Okay, cool.
All right, so these are the alphabets of the
Yeah. Political alphabet. Back to the document, and we'll see.
I really wanted you guys to bring to your attention, right? Because as we begin to wake up, we will spot the ugly head of nationalism,
Right.
right? And we need to overcome this as a people. So, right? We need to identify as a house of Yasharallah, not with the political state or nation state that we were born in.
Right.
Okay, so that's a big thing. Okay, so let's go back to the document. So we're right here, without absolute despotism. Let's look up despotism. Did I spell that right? Yeah. Can we get a reader, please?
The exercise of absolute power, especially in a cruel and oppressive way.
Okay, so that's good enough. Okay, well, that's good enough. All right. So let's go back to the document. Who's going to read?
Without absolute despotism, there can be no existence for civilization. The
Oh,
monarch-
wait a minute. Look at this. Look at this. Without despotism. What
Go
does it
back.
say? Without what?
The cruel and oppressive way.
Right, without cruel and oppressive rulership,
Right.
without cruel and oppressive rulership, there can be no existence of civilization. Do you see the contrast between the Greek mind and the Hebraic mind, even the indigenous mind? Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
Do you see that, Donna, Ellen?
What are you saying exactly?
Okay, let's go back.
Do you get it? No?
Okay, we're talking about Zionists, right?
Right.
So these would be people who are coming out of who operate from the Greek paradigm.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Okay, so what's the definition of despotism?
The exercise of absolute power, especially in a cruel and oppressive way.
So when we see especially, it means what?
Primarily.
Primarily, exactly.
Yes. So now let's go back. So replace despotism with the meaning, with the definition of despotism when you read this.
Without absolute,
Yeah.
I can't remember the definition of it. It's
Here's the
something-
definition.
Absolute cruelty.
The exercise of absolute power, especially in a cruel and oppressive way,
Cruel and oppressive.
Now read it with that definition.
without an absolute, cruel and oppressive way, there can be no existence for civilization.
Right, without absolute power expressed in a cruel and oppressive way, there cannot be civilization. This is in contrast to, let's say, what? The instructions that the Most High gave us, right?
Yeah.
Right.
This is in contrast to what? Ma'at, that the people who who come from Kemet, right? Ma'at. Are you guys familiar with Ma'at?
No.
I don't know anything about that.
Okay, so let's look at Ma'at. I don't know if I can find it, but I'll try to find Ma'at.
Is it my aunt you're looking for or your aunt?
Ma'at. Okay, so the
Yeah, that's it, the 42 laws.
Aunt.
This is, okay, they call Egypt is really, well, Egypt for the original peoples, the land was called Kemet.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
We call it Misraim. Well, that's actually modern Hebrew, but
Right,
you
that's
guys,
what I mean.
but the Greeks call it Egypt, okay?
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And Ma'at refers to ancient concept of truth, balance, order, harmony, law, morality, and justice. The fundamental order of the universe, okay? So what would these be? These would be natural laws.
Right.
You guys see it? Truth,
Truth,
Okay.
balance, order, harmony,
law,
Morality,
and
justice.
justice. These are natural laws.
Okay.
They're just as real as gravity and electricity.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But according to these Zionists, what are they telling us? When we look at what are they telling us? See, they're saying there can be no civilization without absolute power expressed in a cruel, oppressive way. So this is in contradiction to the indigenous peoples. What? We have a completely different paradigm, right?
Yeah.
This is based upon cruelty and oppression,
Uh-huh.
whereas Kemet, the Egyptians, Theirs was based upon natural law,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
And the Hebraic way of life, our contract is also natural law.
Right,
We discussed in class, as opposed to this.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is why they were saying that the people are unsuspecting, right? Remember earlier on the unsuspecting masses, I think it was.
No.
Okay, so is this clear? So let's continue. The mob is, Ellen?
Okay, the mob is savage and displays its savagery at every opportunity. The moment the mob seizes freedom, it quickly turns to anarchy, which in itself is the highest degree of savagery.
Okay, continue.
The goyim are bemused with alcoholic liquors. Their youth has grown stupid on classism and from early immorality, into which they have been induced by our special agents, by
Wow.
tutors,
Go ahead.
by tutors, lackeys, and governesses in the houses of the wealthy, by clerks and others, by our women in the places of dispensation, and frequented by the goyim.
So what is that telling us?
Sounds like they're kind of jealous of the goyim by the looks of it. No.
Donna, what's that telling us?
That they're using alcohol liquors and they have put special agents
Mhm.
in their midst to get them to turn to alcohol and liquors and stuff like that.
So you could, these would all of these would fall under what? Antisocial behavior that violate natural law.
Right.
This is the state of being, having no discipline,
Correct.
lack of discipline, lack of self-control, right?
Yes.
Did you guys agree to that? Is Reggie with us?
So lack of self-control allows them to be put spies in their midst.
Right, see, special agents to encourage that kind of antisocial behavior that destroys self-esteem, self-discipline, self-control, and willpower. Right, and they're encouraging with alcohol. Classism to divide, to create divisions, right? How much money you got? People look at you and determine your self-worth by how much money you have, what kind of car you have.
What you drive, clothes you wear.
See, and from what? Early. That means they're getting children early with immorality, like in our day, where they're doing these nasty, immoral dances, and children are, gyrating their bodies and
Yeah.
music. See, they're getting the people while they're young.
Very young.
The personality is fully developed by the time a child is like 6 or 7. Okay, so if you destroy them when they're young, when they become a teenager or they're already gonna be the rare case where somebody can escape the damage that have been done to them as a child. Okay. What does this say? In which they have been inducted by our special agents, by tutors, lackeys, and governesses in houses of the wealthy. So the wealthy people would demonstrate this immoral, destructive, antisocial behavior, and the common people would follow, right?
Yeah.
So in other words, the wealthy people would be put on a pedestal, made to be heroes
Yeah.
and heroines for everybody else to model their behavior. By
Yeah.
clerks and others, by our women, right? This is the quote unquote black man's poison is the white woman,
Yeah.
right? In places of dissipation frequented by the Goyim. So they're doing this
What is this?
to people who are classified as white, right? Also us, but we're already destroyed. But this Goyim, they're talking mainly about white, remember? Because up here, it was talking about the men. Remember from our earlier discussion today? Remember when we identified the subject?
Yeah.
Remember right here where the cursor is?
Yes.
Yeah,
It must be noted that men
Right.
with bad instincts are more in numbers than good. And therefore, the best results in governing them, we were enslaved or in Jim Crow.
right,
Yeah.
right,
He's not talking about us specifically, right?
right.
Because they're already giving us the business.
Yeah.
So they're talking about putting those people who are classified as white in the
Yeah.
same position that they put us
Right.
in.
The non-Jews.
Right.
Yeah,
The name, yep,
because it's not it's not a color thing.
right.
It's a nation thing.
Yep.
It's a clan thing. If you're not part of their clan, you're not part of them.
Oh.
Yes. So in other words, these people are sabotaged. These Zionists are sabotaged. According to this document, this is what's happening. The Zionists are going to send in people to actually destroy the morality.
Of the Goyim, yeah.
Yeah. Create situations where the people lose their self-discipline without knowing it. So now we can replace alcohol with crack, alcohol with these prescription medicines that people are addicted to,
Right.
Yeah,
so on and so forth, right?
yeah.
With internet porn,
Oh,
Yeah.
pedophilia now right out in the open.
Yeah.
And states are, I think California passed a law that
Yeah.
allows a 14-year-old to have sex with the 20-something-year-olds with
oh,
crazy
man.
stuff, right? Okay, so let's continue.
Okay. The Goyim are bemused with, okay, I read that part, didn't I? Yeah.
So,
counter-
Our countersign is force and make-believe. Our force conquers in political affairs. Violence must be the principle, and cunning and deceit the rule for governments. We must not stop at bribery, deceit, and treachery in the attainment of our end. In politics, one must know how to seize the property of others without hesitating to secure submission and sovereignty. Wholesale sentences of death and merciless terrorism must be practiced to produce blind submission.
can we discuss this one?
Whew. Wow.
Only force conquers in political affairs.
Uh-oh.
Violence must be the principle.
So how have we seen this? What's going on with my screen?
What is going
I
on?
don't
with
know.
this thing,
You're not doing that?
No,
Uh-oh.
I'm trying to fix it. Oh.
Okay.
Somebody doesn't like us here.
man?
You read enough. Devil's trying to stop you from reading it now. Hey.
All right. All right, which one of you is the secret agent?
Don't think they can't find who's reading it if you're reading it directly off the website.
Right.
I got this from the FBI vault. Got this from the FBI vault. Where are we?
All right, let me see.
For that PDF.
Is this where we're at? Yeah.
I was wondering what page you were in the book. Since
We were just,
Here we are right here.
Right there. Our countersign is force and make-believe. Our countersign is force and make-believe.
Only force conquers in political affairs.
there's
Violence must be the principle. And cunning, deceit.
cunning
rule-
and
The rule for governments. Cunning and deceit.
We must.
So they're gonna try to swindle people out of their properties and bully them out of everything that they have. Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy!
Hey, so in this writing, are the Goyim, the Gentiles, are they referring to the
Yeah.
people of
All-
Yahshua?
Yeah, they're referring to all other people besides them.
All
Other-
other people side. Okay.
Yeah, besides the Jewish people. They believe that everybody else is goyim or cattle.
Now this the Jews that stole the identity of the original Jews. Is that
Yes,
right?
yes. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
In other words, everybody's being thrown into the same sinking ship.
That's right.
Yep.
So have you guys heard of the economic hitman book?
No,
No?
No.
no.
Let me show you guys something real quick.
Hmm.
You guys should watch this.
My daughter went missing for more than 5 years before we found out what actually happened.
I'm gonna put the link in the chat, okay?
The job of an economic hitman. You just asked the key question, Patrick. On this hand, I'm offering you a lot of money for you and your friends. And if you choose not to take it, in this hand, I got a gun. What would you do? I'm an entrepreneur. What do I know? I'm just a regular guy. Private plane crashes with a way to assassinate someone if you ever decide you want to do that.
Y'all hear that?
The business model is we're going to put you out of business. Your business model is more the mafia business model because it could cost your life. A few suitcases filled with dollars is nothing compared to sending in troops. These are bribes, sex, power, and money. Do you think China is using any of that economic hitman business model? You don't want to negotiate with us? You're strong arming me? Watch what I'm going to do to you. Wait a minute. We never created a virus. I never said like that. I never said biowarfare. Does that mean we should retaliate with our own biological weapons? No, not at all. What does it mean? I'm learning how you sat down with these prime ministers and presidents. The glaciers are melting. The polar bears are out there standing on single icebergs. The oceans are rising. Species are going extinct. I hope all the audience is taking notes. We wake up and we look around and we say, oh my God, what's happened? So my guest today, maybe one of the most interesting guests I've ever had, and I had a lot of, let me explain to why that is. Imagine if you are thinking about writing a book based on experiences you had that influence a lot of economies around the world. Then you go to 29 publishers, and 29 publishers say, we do not want to touch your book. Then eventually somebody picks it up, and the book comes out. The title of the book is called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. It stays on the New York Times best list for 70 straight weeks, translated in 37 different languages, and sells over a few million copies. And you come out with part 2 called The New Confessions of a Hitman. You write that book and you end up sharing the stories of people you were participating with and negotiating with. Imagine writing a book like that. And more important, imagine living a life of somebody who has the ability to write that book. That's my guest today, John Perkins. John, thank you so much for being a guest on Back Game. Patrick, it's my pleasure to be here with you. Thanks for having me on your show. It's great to have you. So why go on Craigslist? Do I go to Monster? Do I go to Career Builder if I'm trying to apply for a job of wanting to be an economic hitman? Where do I go apply to want to be an economic hitman? How does that happen? Well, first of all, I would suggest that you don't do it. I thought it was my dream job until I realized it was a nightmare job. What happened to me was when I graduated from business school, I was trying to avoid the draft. The Vietnam draft was strong then. I was married to a woman whose father was very high up in the U.S. Department of the Navy, and his best friend was very high up in the National Security Agency, the NSA. And that job at the NSA was draft deferrable. So, he arranged for me to have an interview, and I spent a couple of days on the lie detector, going through this very, very intensive interview with the National Security Agency. And I think, they found that I had 3 weaknesses. I can go into those if you want. Sure. Okay, so, I grew up in a boys' prep school, boarding school, where my dad taught.
And we never had much money, and I was surrounded with kids with a tremendous amount of money. You know, I lived on a house on campus. I ate these boys from the force, so I never wanted for food or shelter, but we never had much money. And I'm surrounded by these kids who come from the area where you come from, came from Tehran, and some of them came from Buenos Aires and Paris and Park Avenue, New York, very, very wealthy. I was always very jealous of their wealth. I wanted to do things they had done. I also grew up in a place pretty devoid of women, so I was very shy around women. And I wanted. So what the NSA discovered during these lie detector tests was that I really craved sex, power, and money, and that gave them the hook to get into me. Then they actually encouraged me to join the Peace Corps for a couple of years, go to the Amazon rainforest, and the guy who was very high up in the NSA. When I heard about the Peace Corps, I went to this talk that a Peace Corps recruiter gave at the business school where I was just about to graduate, and I was very taken by the idea of going and living with indigenous people who I'd always had a fascination about. He encouraged me. He said, we can help you get in, and we can make sure you go to the Amazon where you live with real authentic indigenous people. You'll learn another language. You'll learn survival techniques. When you come out, you'll be all that much more ready to work for us. But he added one more thing. He said, you may not actually end up working for us. You may end up working for a private corporation. A lot of our people do that. We have a lot of our information that way. And that's exactly what happened. When I got out of the Peace Corps, I was recruited by this private consulting firm, Charles D. Main. And as an economist, I became chief economist fairly quickly, and that led to becoming an economic hitman. That's it in a nutshell.
Now, when you went to the Peace Corps, did your problem of sex, power, and money?
Let me try to get to the point where he describes what it is.
The closed story. Not allowed to talk to me. They usher him out. They usher me in, and they grilled me on this, and I totally lied. I said, I didn't see anything happen. No, it's not. It does. And so all the models tell you this is the way to help a country. But over time, as I was in this job for 10 years, and perhaps because I'd been in the Peace Corps, I began to understand that actually it wasn't that the poor people weren't getting any better off. The middle classes were getting poorer, actually. It was just a few rich families that were making a lot of money. And what we know now is that these statistics are very skewed. So GDP is a reflection of how well the wealthy are doing. It's not a reflection of how well everybody's doing. For example, if you take the United States today, there's 3 individuals that have as much wealth as half the US population. If those 3 individuals made a return on their investments last year of 10%, and half the US population lost 3%, we should still show a gain in GDP of something close to 5%. So we see that this whole idea that the shaman taught me, that perception molds reality, that creating a perception that GDP is benefited by infrastructure, that's true, but the perception is that GDP reflects how well the country's doing for everybody. And it doesn't. That's a false perception in almost all cases. It took me a long time to understand that. Once I understood it, I really didn't want to believe it, Patrick, because remember what happened to Mohammad Mossadegh in Iran. Remember what happened to Salvador Allende in Chile. Remember what happened to Arbenz in Guatemala, and Diem in Vietnam, and Lumumba in the Congo. These are all presidents or prime ministers who refused to play the game and were taken out in coups or assassinations. So basically we're saying, remember, there's people we call jackals behind the scenes. So basically I'm saying, hey, Mr. President, in this hand, I'm offering you a lot of money for you and your friends. And if you choose not to take it, in this hand, I got a gun. I didn't actually carry a gun, but I knew those guys were basically CIA assets behind me that had guns. And, classic case, the original case was Kermit Roosevelt, who overthrew Prime Minister Mossadegh in Iran and replaced him with the Shah, and that set a precedent. And these presidents all know this. They know They know the history. They know they will be taken out. So what's the choice? You know, Patrick, what would you do?
Let me ask you, when you are saying it, how are you saying it to me? Like, I know the way you just said it right now. How would you say it to me if I'm the Shah of Iran and you're sitting with me and you're telling me, here's the options? If you could role play with me, what would it be like? How would you say it?
First of all, with the Shah, we didn't play quite that game because he had plenty of money. He didn't have to take a loan. We were just trying to convince him that he ought to work with us rather than the Soviet Union. That he ought to, you know, we wanted his oil, and we were willing to help him westernize his country. He didn't want to go the Soviet route. So that was a little bit different.
We'll get to that in a minute. Give me an example of somebody who you did.
Let's say I'm talking to you. You're the president of Colombia.
Okay.
And we want to get at your resources there. And I'm saying to you, I'm showing you all these fancy reports that show how well your country's going to do. And you can show these reports to your press, to your people. You can convince your people that by taking on these loans, you're helping the country. You're going to build these big dams. You're going to build these big electrical systems, whatever. So you get all the material you need here. And it's usually a series of meetings, maybe some of them over lunch with a few cocktails, et cetera. And the president's maybe electing a little, and then you just sort of subtly start talking about, somehow you bring up the topic of what happened recently to Salvador Allende in Chile, or what happened to Arbenz and Guatemala. Depending on what part of the world you're in, you talk about these people, and you say, you know, isn't that a shame? And you talk a little bit about this. And, you know, depending on the president, different presidents you approach differently. But they get it. I mean, they know the history. It doesn't, you know, these guys know what's going on, and their advisors know what's going on, and they're usually sitting at the meetings too. Some pretty smart advisors who probably, you know, been to business school, the same business schools that I went to, and so forth. And everybody's, you know, I speak Spanish, but most of the people in the room can speak English too, and they get the same background. But I will say, Patrick, and I mentioned, I talk in the book about two presidents who did not play the game. Democratically elected president of Ecuador, Jaime Roldos, and the head of state of Panama, Omar Torrijos. They had tremendous integrity. They saw what I was trying to do, and they didn't do it. And they understood the dangers they were taking, and they talked about these things. And both of them were I believe, assassinated. They were both taken out in almost a little over 2 months apart from each other in 1981. They were taken out in their private planes in Ecuador first, with Jaime Roldos. His private plane crashed, very suspicious circumstances. And less than 3 months later, same thing happened to Omar Torrijos in Panama. These were the only two guys that stood up to this, that said, we're not buying these deals. And in fact, made a big point, public relations. They went up there and made very strong statements, and they set examples for the world. And they were taken out in these plane crashes. And although there was never a smoking gun found, because in a plane crash, the smoking gun goes up in smoke. Plane crashes, private plane crashes are the best way to assassinate someone if you ever decide you want to do that. And because of the evidence is gone. But in the case of, one of those cases, Jaime Roldos, the plane's engines were sent to a laboratory in Switzerland, and they concluded that the plane had not crashed; it had blown up in the air. And so, and there was tremendous other evidence. There's tremendous evidence that points to these having been assassinations.
How much longer were those assassinations after you sat down with them?
Well, with Omar Torrijos, I've been sitting down with him since mid-70s. This happened in 81. So this guy, he meanwhile negotiated the Panama Canal Treaty with Jimmy Carter.
So do you guys want to see that, or we go back to the document now?
Let's go back to the document.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to.
I don't know how much longer we're gonna last here.
Yeah, we're finished with that part because we're at the appendix. So the next one is protocol 2. So let's just finish this up real quick. But I just wanted to show you guys the ruthlessness that they're talking about in this document.
No, I opened that video up because I want to watch the whole thing later. That was very interesting.
Confessions that if you guys listen to everything he says, it's gonna blow you away.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna do that.
Plus, there are other. I think there are other interviews that he did that are better on YouTube that I've heard.
Okay. Well, that one's recent. That one's like from August.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
You can send me the
But
link.
he's got some that are years and years ago. But
Hey, can you share that link in the chat or
Yeah, it's in the
give me
chat.
the time?
yeah, it's in the
Economic
chat.
Hitman.
There's also another book that a former police chief put out, and I don't remember the name right now, but he exposes what the police departments are doing,
Oh,
and he's in hiding now.
wow.
Oh, wow.
You know, Dr. What's her name? Dr. Joy, what's her name?
Have you heard of the Octagon? The
I haven't heard of
Society of the Octagon?
that. Can you put the link in the chat?
I'll have to look it up because a friend of mine shared a video with me a long time ago, and that has to do with the police. And you know, the shape of most of their hats is an octagon, and it's really interesting. I'll find it before Saturday.
Okay. But her name is I think it's Dr. Joy something. She's the one who first made cognitive dissonance very popular.
Oh.
She's the first one who brought that to everybody's attention, to the public's attention, cognitive dissonance. And she talks about, if you watch her videos, in one of her videos, she'll tell you the name of that book. That's how I learned.
What's her name again?
Joy something, but look up cognitive dissonance. Look up post-traumatic slave syndrome. You might find it easier that way.
Okay.
You're muted. Unmute, Reggie.
I just typed it into the chat. Joy DeGrew.
Yeah, Joy DeGrew. Thank you. Yeah, in one of her videos, she talks about this police chief, and he spills the beans on what they do in the police departments. So you'll see this philosophy reflected. This ruthlessness, by any means necessary, right and wrong is not has nothing to do with it, but it's the seizure of power and control. Okay, so let's go to where were we?
Is her name Dr. Joy D?
Yeah, I just put the link in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Joy DeGrew.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so violence must be the principle, and cunning and deceit the rule for governments. Okay, so we see that with these police departments and with that as told by the Confessions of an Economic Hitman, how these governments behave, well, at least the US government behave. We must not stop at bribery. See, he was bribing them, right? Deceit and treachery means tricking people. In attainment of our end. In the politics, one must know how to seize property of others without hesitation to secure submission and what? Sovereignty. So what's an example of seizure of property?
Foreclosure.
Well, foreclosure, but what else? It's cheating.
Yeah.
What's that?
Rob people of their nationality, make them a 14th Amendment citizen. Right? Rob, and that's happened to those people who are classified as white. You guys have also been made 14th Amendment citizens, so you're also slaves, property of the state.
Right.
Whereas before, you were not, right?
Right.
And as such, they're able to escheat your property. They're able to take everything you own, that you think you own, right? Whatever property you have in your possession, they can take it and use it as, what do you call it when you take a loan? Collateral. Use all your stuff as collateral, right? And then they escheat but these are, we'll talk about this stuff in another class, but that has reference to what they're talking about, mercilessly taking people's property. Because all property is owned by the Federal Reserve Bank, in case you guys didn't know it.
Right.
Okay, and that would be true in all countries, right? Because the US, all countries now have these central banks.
Right.
And they're using fiat. Okay, so let's finish it up. Can we finish it up?
Yes.
Where were
Sort
we?
of wholesale synthesis of death and mercilessness, terrorism must be practiced to produce blind submission. So what does practice mean?
Practice makes perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Doing it over and over and over again.
Repetition until
Effective.
The precise definition. Can we get, Reggie, can you read it and take us through it, please?
Yeah, practice, the actual application or use of an idea, belief, or method, as opposed to theories relating to it. I think, let me slide my,
2,
I can't see the whole page. What's that?
2, the customary.
As opposed to, let me go to full page. Oh.
2, right here. Right here. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can't see the whole line though. Something I expect the way of doing. Let me change my view here.
All right.
Fit the window. Okay. Squint. All right. The customer habitual expected procedure or way of doing something. And then perform an activity or an exercise or skill repeatedly or regularly in order to improve or maintain one's proficiency. And 3, carry out or perform a particular activity, method, or custom habitually or regularly.
So what are they telling? What are they saying? Back in the document, it says, where are we? It
Last
says
line.
wholesale sentences of death and mercilessness and merciless terrorism must be practiced. So what is that telling us?
They're gonna do it.
So these will be made normal,
Right.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Killing, terrorism would be made normal parts of their institution and the way they function.
Wow.
So if these things are normalized, what are the people who they oppress? Are they going to perceive these things as just normal? Or are they going to say, this is terrible?
Well, because it's 100th monkey, they'll probably just say it's normal.
Yeah, they'll say it's normal. They'll think it's normal.
Right.
And they'll just accept it because that's all they ever know.
Because
Yeah, it is all they ever know. So what do they know to anything different?
Yeah. Okay, so let's continue. Let's continue.
Okay.
far back in ancient times, we were the first to cry the words liberty, equality, and fraternity, just to fool the stupid goyim cattle. But we mean that there shall be none of those empty words. Let me do this last one. Our MasterCard has been and is and shall be the destruction of all privileges, on the ruins of which we shall set up our absolute autocracy of gold.
So what are those last two paragraphs telling us?
far back in ancient times, we were the first to cry the words of liberty, equality, and fairness. It's like they were leading us, you know.
Well, ancient again, who liberty, equality, and fraternity. This is not ancient. We didn't believe in equality.
No, that's Greek.
That's Greek.
It is Greek because the fraternities was clued me off to the Greek.
Yeah, so this is Greek.
Yeah.
So they're talking about their own stuff, right?
Yeah.
Not ours. So we're not dealing in these abstract concepts.
No.
So, and how do we know it's abstract and for the fools? They know it too. They said, what, just to fool the stupid boy.
Yeah. Just
remember we had that conversation about animals? Like, for example, how many types of hawks, how many types of birds are there?
Oh,
Thousands.
Thousands.
Yeah, are there equality amongst birds?
Oh,
no.
No.
How many types of fish are there? Are there equality among the fish?
no.
No.
Some fish eat other
Your
fish. Right?
fish eat the little ones.
Huh?
How many types of cats are there? There's lions, there's tigers,
Leopards.
cheetah. Is
Panda.
there equality? Is there equality among the big cats?
No.
Right, and then there are even little cats, right?
Right.
And they all have their own different mindset, the way they live. They're not equal.
No,
Right.
In nature, there is no equality.
no.
Yeah.
It does not exist in nature. So this idea of equality violates natural law.
Yeah.
Y'all see that?
Yeah.
So among men, there is no equality.
Wow.
We see that in our instructions that the Most High gave us also. There is no equality. There is a battle for wealth, for the fruit of the earth.
Yeah.
That's just plain and simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the indigenous people, we didn't go killing each other to get gold and silver, right? We
Right.
didn't do it. In fact, our ancestors used to walk around with all kind of gold and stuff on their bodies.
Yeah.
Nobody robbed them and stole from them. But anyway, there's no equality, okay? And for anybody to believe that, what is pushed to fool people into submission.
Yeah.
See, they even acknowledge that it's empty words.
Yeah.
And do we see equality in today's world?
No.
None whatsoever. But everybody swears that we're all equal.
Yeah.
That's the mind game they play with people.
Yeah.
But anyway, anything else about this? And how do we, my last thing on this. How are we to understand that last paragraph?
Our MasterCard.
Does this sound like fantasy or is there a historical precedent?
It's like there's an ancient evil.
Yeah.
No, I would say it's definitely going on and has been going on.
But the way they say it right there, it says right there, on the ruins of which we shall set up. On the ruins.
Yeah.
So they
Is there precedent for that?
sounds like it is.
Yes, there is, but what is it?
Precedence of
How about this? How about this?
taking you out of your land.
Well, think about those documents that we discussed a couple classes ago. Unum Sanctum, Doctrine of Discovery, Secret Treaty of Verona. What are these all? This is when the Catholic Church began to destroy the indigenous people.
Right.
They ruined us, right?
Right.
Brought in the Trojan horses, the religion, or the Christianity thing, the whole 9 yards. They brought us to ruin. Is that not right?
Yeah.
And then they put in their systems. So this is not something that's so far-fetched that you can't believe it. Because this is
No such things in quality.
this has happened in history. Y'all see that?
Yeah.
They destroyed the Moors, they destroyed the house of Yasharallah and all
In
other
bad situations.
Remember Unum Sanctum and the doctrine of discovery, right?
Right.
Remember, destroy them, put them in perpetual slavery, take everything they have and give it to your heirs. This is saying the same thing. Our MasterCard has been. See, they did it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is and shall be the destruction of all privileges, on the ruins of which we shall set up our absolute autocracy of gold. Anyway, so with that, you guys have anything else you want to say about it?
Ooh.
That's just a bundle of wow.
That's a lot of heavy stuff here.
But do you guys see it?
Yeah.
I said to a friend of mine a while back, I said, how is it these people just sit around having conversations like this about how to destroy people? I mean, I don't understand how it's done.
It's Genesis chapter 1, Alan. Go back on my, I have a YouTube channel. It might be Dr. Yasaka, but view the video. Let me see if I can show it to you, because I go through Genesis chapter 1, and people who have not seen the video will not understand what we're talking about right now. Okay, so you got to go back and get an understanding of what Genesis chapter 1 is, and also Genesis chapter 2. Let me see. I think it's Dr. Yasafa. Let me pull it up real quick so you guys can see, and people who are watching can know what I'm talking about. All right, so Cleveland 2, please watch this, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know, but for me.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
But
So
I can
Genesis
find it.
chapter 1, this is it. Y'all see it?
Yeah.
Watch this, and this will explain their mindset and why and everything else. I'm going to put this link in the chat.
Okay.
But then also watch chapter 2, Genesis chapter 2.
Okay.
Okay. Start watching Genesis 1 about 2 hours and 4 minutes into it. The first 2 hours and 4 minutes is going to be like Christians giving their point of view about what Genesis chapter 1 is.
Okay. 2 hours and 4 minutes.
Yeah, they're presenting the Christian point of view, and I just let them. Well, I shouldn't say Christians. That might offend them, but they are.
These are generations, okay?
They are Israelites who are giving their Christian understanding of what Genesis chapter 1, the first couple verses mean. So let me put the other. This is chapter 2. But if you go through both of these, you have a complete understanding of why these people have this mindset to conquer.
Cool.
Donna, you were there for that.
Yep, I was there. And plus I watched those videos. Well, I watched the videos, so.
So can you give us your honest opinion as to whether it's worth the time to watch that?
Yeah, it's definitely worth the time. But it's good that you put that you can fast forward through that beginning stuff. And then it's critical to do chapter 2, the second one too, to get.
See, because if you go through chapter 1 without going through chapter 2,
Right.
then you won't understand fully what's happening in chapter 1.
Okay.
Okay, so, and then also I think we do in chapter 2, we give you a list of the order of creation in chapter 1 and compare it to the order of creation in chapter 2, and you're going to find that they're completely different.
Okay.
Right? Now in class, we do another part that I didn't do in the video that has to do, that shows you who this created creature is in chapter 1.
Right,
And
we did that.
Donna, you remember that, but don't tell it,
Yeah.
don't tell it.
Okay.
And then we relate that to the giants. We give you some insight about the giants, right?
Okay.
But you have to come to class for that.
All right.
So does anybody have, before we close out, everybody who might be watching this video, please like it and share it. It helps us distribute this so that we can get the information out to other people so that they can learn and help them return to the Most High. We're trying to get to the 100th or the 99th monkey phenomena. And if you don't know what that is, Google it. We're trying to raise our people up so that we can get the blessings and get out of these curses, to shift the House of Yasharalah's mindset from curses over to the blessing. That's what we're trying to do, but we need your help to do it. Please like and share the video and subscribe. Anybody have anything else to say about the topic, or to people who might be watching the video as a word of encouragement or a testimonial that might help them get from where they are to where you are, or to where they want to be? Reggie, you always have something to say.
I'm at a loss looking at just with this book in my hand. I think it's one of the most insidious things I've ever come across. You know, it's about as bad as I don't know if you're a fan of H.P. Lovecraft, but he writes about the dreaded Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead. This is pretty bad. You know, it's pretty bad because it just, you know, it's all Psalms 43. I mean Psalms 83. You know, about a conspiracy, but it just gets even worse.
Yeah.
You tend to think that people couldn't be this bad, but yeah, you know, I mean, you think this is the stuff of movies, and no, they're making up those movies out of real life, out of real artifacts and things that have occurred, and you know, and here's the script of all those evil dictators and bad guys and mercenaries, and you know.
Okay. Well,
Have you been reading it, Reggie?
No, I just got it. I haven't had a time. I was trying to figure out what page were you on, but you were on some PDF.
I don't think his pages are in it.
Yeah, what I got from the FBI vault.
Yeah, so I was trying to figure out like what section, which protocol. That's what
Protocol number 1.
Protocol number 1?
Yes.
Because I was wanting to highlight it, the protocols. Right, lies, and might. Did it start there?
I don't remember.
Putting aside, yeah, I'm trying to relate it so I can highlight it and see in the book. It's like part 3, protocol number 1, protocols of the meetings of the learned elders of Zion.
Yeah, that's where we started.
Yeah, but read the first paragraph. I want to make sure, because there's a lot of sections in here of
I'm gonna
meetings.
pull that. This is protocol 1.
Okay, I don't recognize.
So you see where I got it? Vault.fbi.gov.
Yeah, see, I don't know if these pages are in the book, because up at the top that says they were deleted, remember?
I think so, because yeah, I've been trying to find those pages and I'm just not. There's a whole lot of stuff to go through, but wow.
So yeah, this came from the FBI, and there's all kind of notes from the FBI, letters to J. Edgar Hoover, and all kinds of stuff in this document.
Wow. Vault.foi.gov. Wow.
Yeah. So this is all.
Hoover, you say? Yeah.
Yeah. I'll show you. Well, while we do that, Cleveland, do you have any closing comments or encouragement for people who might be watching this, who might be where you're at, or even newer than you, who might be going through all of the trials and tribulations, rejection and whatnot?
Man, my own words, I'm gonna say this is my second day. It's been heavy, a lot of information, and if anybody listening that's on the bandwagon, I'm gonna say, give it a try, listen. I'm gonna stick with it. My quest for knowledge has led me here, and even though it's, man, just learning about the words, what words mean, and breaking them down, and you know, it's been a lot. It's heavy, as we say. It's heavy.
It's a bitter pill.
Yeah. And it's so heavy that it's funny. You hear me giggling every now and then. I'm like, damn it. Yeah, it's like you know, the old saying, you know, don't ask for it because you just might get it. And I'll tell you, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Yeah.
Yeah, we just
So Reggie, this is
down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
from the FBI. The date is November 4th, 1941,
Wow.
to the director of the FBI. And yeah, so this has everything from the FBI file,
Wow.
stamps and everything. Y'all see that?
Yeah.
So this was what? J. Edgar Hoover.
Oh, yeah, I need to go look at that so I can read some of those letters.
Yeah.
1949.
So we can really, really dig into this and see if this is authentic or if, because the Zionists denied that this is true.
Well, of course they would.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
we can figure it out, right? We can match this up to what's happened in history.
Yeah.
Where'd you get it from, Henry Ford?
Yeah, Henry Ford says something like that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Donna, Ellen, do you guys have any concluding comments? Maybe you could offer people a word of encouragement or
Well, I would
do.
say to keep coming back because every class that I've attended at Zion Law School has been very eye-opening. It's like I learned something new every time. And some of it blows you away. But all in all, it's definitely worth joining. I mean, I encourage people to come visit the Saturday class. It's really been eye-opening, and that's why I've been coming to these classes.
Okay, so very good. And this panel discussion is free. So this is for everybody. So this for interest and fun, right?
Right.
So there's no tuition, there's no enrollment, there's nothing like that for this. So this is for fun, for interest, for learning.
Enlightenment.
And enlightenment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And
what about, Ellen, do you have anything that might be helpful for people?
I don't always get it right. I can keep on messing up, but at least, I'm here trying to learn. So, nobody's gonna put you down for that. That's just good stuff. That's all. I don't know what to say, man.
you're not messing up.
Okay.
Listen, because remember, we have our different experiences and somebody's gonna be watching these videos at one point or another who might relate to your experience.
Yeah.
And what you say may be very helpful for them. Because the whole objective is to get our people back into the blessings. Get out of these curses, right? Return to the Most High. That's what I'm trying to do. Right? So I'm sure that's what you guys are trying to do too, because we come up as a nation.
Right.
Yeah. We want to be part of that.
Yes. Okay, so remember, please like and share the video, subscribe. If you share it and you like it, more people will be able to see it. And I want to thank Reggie, Cleveland, Donna, and Ellen for participating in this panel discussion. This was big fun for me. I enjoyed it. And I hope everybody learned something. I always learn something.
Yeah.
And this made my day. So I guess with that, I will ask Reggie if we have your permission to end this panel discussion.
Yes, you do.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to stop the live stream. I still haven't figured out how to do this, y'all. So give me a second. Let's stop the live stream. Let's see.